I ate an airhead.
Molly, the person who talks about things.
Groups. It's not easy for everyone to hang out with big groups of people and to go to social events. And I think it's kind of expected of a lot of people to just be socially at ease, which is ridiculous because we're all different and it's not a natural thing for some of us. I think it can be particularly draining for IXFJs because there's this extra pressure to engage with people in a certain way. I also think this totally depends on the event because there are certain groups that you may feel comfortable with. You may know the people really well and just you're able to relax and not have as high standards for how you're going to act. For me, I prefer one-on-one, and I find that what I like and what I get out of one-on-one interactions is like a very meaningful connection a lot of times. It feels like we're able to, there's a focus there and we're able to go get into whatever conversation we're getting into. And whereas I feel like in big groups, it's more about breadth instead of depth. It's like you talk quick, fast, and then you get to the next person. And of course, this depends on what outing we're talking about. A lot of times it's fast-paced and it can be a lot of stimuli, especially when you're taking in everything very deeply and thoughtfully. It can be hard to take in so much because then it's just like all processing, and then it's hard to have any output or output as quickly and accurately as you may want. For example, having a response to something that someone said. It might come delayed to some of you. To me, it sure does. Because you're thinking about what the person had just said and really processing it. And I feel like sometimes I might come across spacey because I'm really considering what's being said and how what I'm going to say can affect them in response. So it doesn't come as quickly and naturally. And I think people appreciate when you're more like fast-paced and more assertive in what you believe and what you say. I don't personally value that as much because I think the truth is more gray. The truth is that we don't really know anything. This is like kind of a side note. But I appreciate that in people when they're more vulnerable and it feels genuine and like they're showing me what they really mean. And we don't always know what we mean. How could we? We can't have certainty about anything because everything's ever changing. So it makes sense to me that it would, for speech patterns, like how I'm talking now, I'm kind of hesitant. And I feel like people don't trust that as much. My mom's calling. Sorry, Mom. It is true, I feel like people more readily trust someone who can shoot off the hip and talk really quickly about what they think and say it really confidently and loudly. And that boisterousness is very popular in America. I don't know, what do you think? Comment below like what type of manner you prefer. I guess I value all the different personalities, and I do think that certain people can be quite charming when they're like quick and more boisterous, but I don't trust it more. I'm a skeptic of pretty much everything, so I guess it doesn't really matter how it's delivered to me, but I think that's the preferred way. But it doesn't have to be your way, and it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to conform. Even though it feels, I say this, but then you see me at a party and I will be, oh hi, blah blah blah, like I will adhere to the social dynamic. Nobody cares about me. Like they do, but you are not the center of the other people's world. They are the center of their world. These are all main characters in their own stories. And you are not the main character that they're judging and thinking about. So ease that pressure off. No one is thinking about you as much as you. we're very self-absorbed in thinking that, oh, they're thinking about what I just said, or oh, I came across wrong. But nobody really cares, and that in a positive way. It's finding things in the present, wherever you are, that bring you some sort of pleasant feeling. So whether, let's say it's the food you're eating, oh wow, this tastes really good. Just like zoning in on something that you appreciate. And also, I really like people for the most part and getting to know them. So asking people questions instead of putting pressure on yourself to talk a lot. You don't have to talk a lot. You can just ask questions and listen. So a lot of times I like to ask people about themselves and ask them things that I want to know about. And then it can feel more meaningful. We get caught up on shaming ourselves about a feeling instead of just feeling the feeling. And it just makes it more complicated and doesn't help the situation. For example, if you're just feeling really frustrated by something and then you're like, why do I get so upset about this? Like, what's wrong with me? And then it turns into like a self-deprecative state. You're no longer feeling frustrated by the original thing. You're now feeling frustrated by the person that you are and the fact that you're frustrated. So that feeling after the feeling doesn't help the feeling. Sometimes we need to just accept that the feeling is happening, and then it'll pass faster than if we're trying to analyze and control the feeling. Instead, guide it. And I feel like this also applies to situations like in group settings. If you're struggling, instead of getting down on yourself and thinking, why am I like this? Why can't I just talk to everyone and feel comfortable, and why am I so awkward, and all those negative self-talk things that you say to yourself, they're not helping. And maybe you know that, and sometimes it's hard to control it. But I think just allowing yourself the grace to not be good at everything and to not like everything. You don't have to love every party you go to. You don't have to feel energized and excited by it. Even if you acknowledge it to the person, like, oh, sorry, I'm having a lot of thoughts, I get overstimulated. That might feel better for both of you in that conversation than you getting stuck and feeling like, oh, they think I'm so rude because I'm not saying much, or whatever hypotheticals you tell yourself. So basically, you're not alone. Accept that it might be a challenge, and accept the challenge and find things that you enjoy in those spaces. Gratitude, affirmations, all of that can be very helpful. But don't put pressure on yourself to be a certain way. You don't have to talk to everyone at the party, and you don't have to come across perfect, and you don't have to say the right thing. There isn't a right thing. What you said, and it's all right. And then you move forward, and life goes on, and then you eat that snack, and man, that cheese is really good. Go for another. That's my sound advice for you. And if you have your own thoughts, comment them below, and like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. You're awesome. Okay, bye.